I've been playing Diablo 2 for the first time since its release 25 years ago in 2000. There's a couple of decades of hype going into this, and while I never really gelled with the Diablo franchise until I got a true taste for Demon Blood with Diablo 4, I've been keen to go back and see if Diablo 2 could live up to all that praise. In my last video, which you should definitely pause here and go and watch if you haven't already, me and my fresh-faced necromancer Colin prevented Hell from establishing a base of operations in a corrupted monastery of a sisterhood of rogues before making a valiant but failed attempt to prevent Diablo, disguised as a Dark Wanderer, from finding and releasing his brother and Lord of Destruction Baal from his eternal banishment. In this video, it's time for us to finish the fight before giving our thoughts on the first-time experience of Diablo 2 in 2025. And well, it doesn't get off to the best start.
My companion drew in the dank, cold air of the tomb. It seemed to strengthen him. I stood in the doorway between light and dark. What was left of my sanity implored me not to enter. But that voice was just a whisper now. As we worked our way down, deeper and deeper into the crypt, I began to see a change in my companion. He seemed to be gaining strength. I could hardly see in the gloom, but my companion seemed to know the way. We came at last to a great hall. It was then I realized my companion hadn't been gaining strength. He had been losing what was left of his humanity. He moved with demonic speed, and then you appeared.
Stop! The beast contained herein shall not be set free, not even by you. Set in motion this day. Go to the Temple of Light in the eastern city of G.O.A.T. There you will find the gate to hell opened before you. You must find the courage to step through that gate, Miles. Take the stone you hold to the Hellforge, where it will be destroyed. Now run. Take the stone and run!
Kurast, ancient swamp city. We're met at the docks by the sorcerer Heratli, who tells us that the city's populace has been decimated by the forces of Mephisto. Demons run rampant throughout the lands, and the evil-filled jungle is quickly reclaiming the ancient city. We briefly explore the city's raised walkways and stilted buildings, and at the behest of an awaiting Deckard Cain, head straight into the jungle to hunt the elusive Diablo and Bale. The jungle is a mass of noise. Tigers roar and monkeys howl. Entering into the spider forest, we begin to cut down the demonic forces, and we soon encounter a demon that drops a jade figurine. Marveled by the figurine's design, we take it back to Cain as it surely must be of value. Cain tells us we should show the figurine to Mashif, the sailor who brought us to Kurast, as he is an avid collector. The figurine turns out to be the last piece he needs to complete his collection, happily taking it off our hands in exchange for a golden bird figurine which, like a child with their favourite toy, we immediately take to show off to Cain. That little statuette is maybe a bit more special than we realise, as it reminds Cain of a sage named G.O.A.T, who studied the mysteries of life after death. It was said that when the sage died, his ashes were ensconced within a golden statuette. With little other information from Cain, we decide to instead show off our pretty little statue to the apothecary Alcor, who confirms that our statue is in fact the golden bird of G.O.A.T. Alcor takes the statue and tells us to come back later while he experiments with the ashes within. We intend to head back out into the jungle to mow our way through some demons, but I can't help but feel a little underwhelmed with how Act 3 has opened. Act 2 ended with the rug being pulled out from under us, as we found ourselves too late to prevent Diablo from releasing Bale. Now, we arrive in Kurast on the hunt with an opening quest that comes out of nowhere. We found a random figurine that we thought was trash to be traded for something better, and it turns out to be something a little special. But the writing around this opening is so bare compared to the previous acts. It's as if Blizzard weren't quite sure how to handle the transition into this section of the story. And to be fair, in my time playing Blizzard games, I feel this is often something they fall down on. Blizzard's narratives are often exceptionally well crafted, balancing feeling large in scale and epic in stakes with feeling personal and character driven. But those lulls in the narrative where things are slowing down for a break and a breather from the intense action and character moments are often where Blizzard just can't match the quality. Off the bat, it's a really abrupt shift from the quests of Act 1 and 2, which were detailed and felt like they had a real purpose both as plot and as introductions to the game's mechanics. Now, the characters around us that previously had so much information to give us appeared disinterested in the mission at hand, when now the stakes are far higher. The expectation after Act 2 is that we will be going all in on the search for Diablo and Bale, and so far it's a swing and a miss. Anyway, it's time now for us to return to Alcor, who has used the ashes of G.O.A.T to craft us a potion that will permanently add 20 life points to our total, which is very nice. With that underwhelming first quest out of the way though, we head back towards the jungle with the expectation that there might be more to grind to keep the story moving, but thankfully we're met with an eager Cain, who, concerned that we've already forgotten our quest at the first sight of a pretty trinket, reminds us that we are actually here to destroy Mephisto. We get a bit of a lengthy overview of Mephisto and how to destroy him. Cain tells us that the Lord of Hatred was imprisoned within the Guardian Tower in the temple city of Travincal. In order to get into the Guardian Tower, we need to destroy an artifact known as the Compelling Orb, and to do that, we'll need an ancient flail imbued with the spirit of the one priest who remained uncorrupted when Mephisto used the orb to control the Zarakum priests. At the will of Mephisto, the other priests slew and dismembered the incorruptible priest, scattering his remains across the kingdom. We'll need to collect his heart, brain, and eye, and then use the Heraldric Cube in our stash to transmute them within his flail. Only then will we be able to open the way into Mephisto's sanctum. First up on our shopping list is his eye, which we'll find in the Spider Cavern. To get there is a lengthy trip through the Spider Forest, but one false encounter within the Arachnid layer later, and we're cutting through thick cobwebs and striking down enormous spiders until we find a lone chest containing within it the hidden eye. Naturally, we work our way through the remaining area of the square dungeon and portal back to Cain to relay the good news. It seems that each of the items we'll be imbuing into the flail will have a thematic purpose, with the eye revealing the true path to Mephisto. Next up is the brain, located in the Flayer dungeon. The Flayer dungeon is another relatively small one, but it certainly lives up to the name. A crumbling stone maze of tight corridors and small rooms that holds as its trap-filled bottom a chest containing the priest's brain, a brain that knows Mephisto's weakness. As with everything, we stuff it into the Haragic Cube and head back out. Our target, the ancient city, where in the sewers beneath the bazaar is hidden Kalim's heart. The sewer is an open space with plenty of hiding places for demons and undead alike. Colin and the skeleton crew search through the fetid space, crossing the makeshift bridges and over the dried up rivers of sewage that once flowed under the ancient city. It doesn't take long before we clear the dungeon, finding a chest containing the priest's heart filled with the courage to defeat Mephisto. We place it into the Haragic Cube with the rest of the priest's organs and ready ourselves to find the last part, the flail itself, which we'll find in Travincal proper. First though, we end up having another wander around the dockside before heading back out and pick up on a couple of interactions we had evidently missed on our previous exploration, including a quest to retrieve the Holy Skatsimi blade called the Gidbin, that holds the power to revitalise the enchantment protecting the dockside from the demons that run rampant in the jungle. We find the blade close by to the Flayer dungeon we had previously been to and kill the demon who guards it. Colin clearly doesn't pay attention to those around him though, seemingly surprised at having found a magic dagger despite having been sent specifically to find it. We port back to town and speak to Ormus, who we have been told is the one who has the ability to use the dagger. He thanks us for returning the blade and tells us it will be used to protect the innocents of the docks. We speak to Ormus again to sell some items and he gives us a decent magic ring as a reward for returning the dagger. Pleased with ourselves for protecting the town, we set off once again into the wilderness to track down Travincal and find the final piece of the device we'll need to take down Mephisto. In Travincal, we clear the streets of demons before facing down the council protecting the compelling orb. The council together is pretty tough, their combined flaming attacks quickly churning through the skeleton squad. So, after splitting them up and taking them down one by one, all that remains is to collect the flail and head back to the docks to combine the items and create the artifact we need to destroy the orb. With the flail imbued with Kalim's bodily artifacts, we take the town portal back to Travincal and shatter the compelling orb. As shards of the orb scatter through the air, the magic inside glows, revealing the way to Mephisto's prison and opening the way to the Durance of Hate. Here, there is only one mission left to complete: find and kill Mephisto. Into the Durance we descend. If the halls weren't covered in blood, this place might actually be beautiful. Ornate gold decoration covering the walls and floors. We cull our way through the usual 3 floors, with an expectant Mephisto awaiting us at the bottom. The fight is almost a close one, with many of the skeleton squad succumbing to Mephisto's icy attacks, but he too falls to the squad in short order. With Mephisto dead, now is the time to finally take the fight to Diablo. In the bottom level of the Durance, Diablo and Bale open the way to hell. If we're to stand any chance of defeating them, we're gonna have to take it to their home turf. So ends Act 3. A disappointing follow-up to a great second act. Where Act 2 felt like a race against time, Act 3, while visually interesting in its jungle theming for locations and enemies, feels like it meanders through, not really sure how to connect to the finale of the base game in Act 4. The main quest itself is kind of dull, comes out of nowhere and doesn't feel like it has any stakes. Though I do like the concept of the main mission in Act 3, it does little to make it engaging. When we speak to Cain throughout the mission, where previously he would give us more information about our current task, with information updating as we progress through the mission, here there's very little of that and it's somewhat jarring. The main mission here only takes up 1 of the 6 quests in the act and it just wasn't that engaging. Now, I appreciate that Diablo is a game about grinding monsters and dungeons in hunt for loot and XP, particularly at higher difficulties. Maybe the main quests ultimately aren't that important once they've served their purpose in Acts 1 and 2 of introducing you to the major gameplay mechanics, and I'll grant you there are some big open areas here that are great for just running through and killing everything, and I'm sure on higher difficulties this may be a great spot for farming, even if the vastness makes navigating anywhere specific a nightmare. But this is my first playthrough. I might never touch the game again past the main story. Honestly, I was expecting more here after how impressed I was with the first half of the game, and given the reputation that this game and Blizzard in general had for crafting a good story during this era. Thankfully though, we're about to get back on track.
I did as you told me, Tyrael. I found the temple of the Zakarum. In the deepest recesses of the temple, I found a dark gathering. My companion, the Wanderer, Talrasha, and a great evil who could only be the Lord of Hatred himself, Mephisto. I heard a voice that, like 1,000 needles in my heart.
My brothers, at long last we stand reunited. The infernal gate has been prepared, and the time of our final victory is at hand. Let the way to hell be opened. And the evil that was once vanquished shall rise anew. Wrapped in the guise of man, shall he walk amongst the innocent, and terror shall consume they that dwell upon the earth. The skies shall rain fire, and the seas will become as blood. The righteous shall fall before the wicked, and all creation shall tremble before the burning standards of hell.
What I saw then was not meant for mortal eyes.
The gate stands ready. Now, my young brother, the time has come to assume your true form. Arise, Diablo, Lord of Terror. You are the harbinger of our return, Diablo. Send forth your terror into hell.
Hell. After having finally struck a blow to the forces of hell with the slaying of Mephisto, it's time to take the fight to Diablo and his brothers in the very heart of their demonic kingdom. Passing through the portal to hell, we arrive in the Pandemonium Fortress. Quite a cozy looking place, all things considered. Deckard Cain awaits us here, alongside the Archangel Tyrael. There's only half the number of quests here compared to previous acts, so we speak to them both to see what they would ask us to do. Tyrael tells us of his most trusted lieutenant, who led a disastrous assault against the forces of hell. Captured and corrupted by the prime evils, the fallen angel was forced to reveal heaven's secrets. Now, trusted by neither side, the angel's spirit was bound to the beast summoned from the abyss. Tyrael believes that now, though, he has suffered far too long, and requests that we end his suffering and put him down once and for all. Cain asks us to take the soulstone we recovered from Mephisto to the Hellforge and destroy it, preventing Mephisto from ever manifesting in our world again. With the two quests in hand, we set out to destroy the forces of hell and bring safety to our world once and for all. Fighting our way through hell, we quickly find the fallen angel Izuel in the plains of despair and kill the demon that possesses his spirit. Once freed from his capture, the fallen angel's soul rises from the captor's body, telling us that it was he who told Diablo and his brothers about the soulstones and masterminded their exile into our world. Hell's plan has been set in motion. We'll have to work quickly to stop the primevals and save our world. We continue our descent through hell, passing through the city of the damned before making the final plunge into the river of flame. Here, the foes are tougher than anything we've faced before, and we must be careful to remain within the protection of the skeleton squad or face a quick death. With the squad in tow though, we make it through to the Hellforge, kill the demonic smith, and use his hammer to destroy Mephisto's soulstone, shattering it into some gems for our use, releasing the soul stored within, and banishing Mephisto's soul to the abyss. Having now disrupted the plan of the primevals, all that remains is Diablo himself. Further into the River of Flames, we meet Hadriel, an angel who tells us that to enter Diablo's sanctum, we'll need to destroy the 5 hidden seals. Once open, the way to Diablo will be clear. Pushing into the Chaos Sanctuary, the seals are maybe not as well hidden as Hadriel was led to believe, pretty much out in the open surrounding Diablo's lair. We clear through the sanctuary and destroy the seals, summoning Diablo to face us. The Diablo fight, much like the Endariel fight at the end of Act 1, is one that we end up both well equipped for and woefully underprepared. With the help of the Skeleton Squad, we quickly do a significant amount of damage to Diablo, though the Skeleton Squad themselves are susceptible to dying in only a couple of hits to Diablo's more powerful fire-based attacks. This leads us to engage in a series of hit-and-run attacks against him, chopping away at his health until the Skeleton Squad is down, before backing off to the nearby wings of the Sanctuary to summon new skeletons for the squad. We rinse and repeat 3 or 4 times until Diablo only has a sliver of health remaining, and we are all out of corpses. This is when the struggle with Diablo really comes into its own, and highlights to me how, despite my skeletal squad churning their way through monsters no problem, on bosses, we've tunnel vision dexterity in pursuit of needing it for items maybe a little too much, and we've left ourselves far too squishy with barely any vitality. Stubbornly wanting to avoid more of a grind though, the plan is simple. As we can survive a few hits from Diablo before going down, we can get in, tank a few hits with Iron Maiden up, a curse that does double damage back to our attacker, and within a few hits of our own, it will be enough to finish him off. It's still a tough fight and takes a couple of strategic corpse runs to pull off, but we do pull it off, slaying Diablo with just a single point of health remaining. With the deed done, we collect our loot and head back to the Pandemonium Fortress to speak to Cain. Thrilled with our success, Cain is glad he could be of assistance, but wishes to be as far away from this place as possible. In order to leave Hell, we need to speak to Tyrael, and just when we think we're out, we get dragged right back in. Tyrael tells us that through our actions, Diablo and Mephisto have been banished back into the black abyss from where they came. But while we've been stuck down here, Baal has run rampant across the mortal world in search of the World Stone, the source of the Soul Stones and their power. We can't leave things unfinished, so Tyrael creates a portal to Harrogath, last bastion of the barbarians, in hopes that we can defeat Baal too.
I heard later that he was defeated. And that the Soul Stones were destroyed in Hellforge. All except one.
I failed, Tyrael. I couldn't do as you asked. I couldn't enter that gate. Forgive me, Tyrael. Forgive me.
Marius, give me the stone, and all is forgiven. Give it to me, Marius.
Take it. Take it, take it. I'm glad this is finally over, Tyrael. Look what the stone has done to me.
You haven't failed, old man. You've done exactly as you were meant to do. However, I am not the Archangel Tyrael.
There. No. No, 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 no.
You have done well, Marius. Now I think you shall have your reward.
What have I done to deserve it?
Act 4 is a short but sweet one. While Act 3 felt as though it meandered through its task, Act 4 felt focused on its singular goal of defeating Diablo. The 2 additional quests feel appropriate rather than filler, and with the stakes raised, so too is the danger. Hell itself is a great area to fight in, being mostly a dead and ashen world, with the fiery pits reserved for its lowest level, where it feels most dangerous. Fighting Diablo in the Chaos Sanctuary is also a great final set piece to cap it all off. Like Act 3, Act 4 doesn't add anything new mechanically, but invites you to put everything you've learned up to this point to the test to face off against the most difficult opponents you'll face, an area that allows you to entirely focus on that task.
Bail! The gates of Sescheron have stood for eons beyond remembrance, and you shall not breach them now. Remove your foul demons from our lands. We stand on the side of light. You shall not be allowed to reach Mount Ariat, and that which you seek will not be yours.
I shall take your position into consideration. Well, it seems your terms are not acceptable.
Arriving in Harrogate, we speak to Cain, who tells us we shouldn't expect a warm welcome. The barbarians are holding their own against Bale and his forces for the time being, but even they can't hold out forever. If these are indeed the legendary protectors of Mount Arreat and the World Stone, then we'll need their help. Cain will spend some time befriending the locals. In the meantime, we take it upon ourselves to impress the barbarian order in the only way we know how: killing things. To do that, we head into the foothills of the mountains, aiding the barbarians we find along the way to break the siege of Harrogate. Before long, we've slaughtered our way to the back of the demon lines and killed the siege master. Returning to Harrogate, we speak to the smith Larzuk, who rewards us by socketing an item for us. Continuing the ascent, we head back out into the frigid highlands in search of more soldiers to aid. We complete this next quest by finding and releasing a series of soldiers imprisoned by Bale's army. After a couple of these quests, with rewards being runes and sockets, it's clear that there's a similar structure with these first few quests to the quests in Act 3, where they felt loosely connected, allowing you to complete the main task of killing Bale in your own pace, while offering some minor perks along the way should you want or need them. Nevertheless, we continue on up the mountainside. Having rescued all of the soldiers imprisoned, we are tasked with seeking out Anya, missing daughter of one of the late elders, Orst. She can be found in the Crystalline Passage, so we're on the lookout for a cave entrance. Once we've found the entrance, we descend through the Crystalline Passage and into the frozen river below. The passage and river are full of evil creatures like harpies and abominables who attempt to stop us at every step of the way. Fighting our way through though, we eventually do find Anya, who's been frozen in place. Speaking to her, she tells us it was Nithalak, the guy in town that seemingly hates necromancers, who did this to her, and the only way to save her lies with Marla. So, we portal back to town, speak to Marla, who seems shocked but not surprised that Nithalak was the one who cursed Anya. She gives us a special potion, and we head straight back to Anya in an attempt to free her. Giving her the potion, her icy tomb evaporates, and Anya silently portals back to town. We follow suit and go and speak to her. She thanks us for freeing her, hoping that we too may be able to end Bale's reign of destruction, as, with the Council of Elders and her father gone, the only thing preventing the town plunging into hopeless despair is the thought of vengeance against him. In gratitude for freeing her, Anya tells us that Nithalak slipped that he struck a deal with Bale to protect Harrogate, providing Bale with the relic of the ancients, the Order's most holy totem, in exchange for mercy. If Bale comes into possession of the totem, he will be able to enter Mount Arreat unchallenged. Anya will create for us a portal to Nithalak's lair. We need to go into his domain, kill him, and retrieve the totem before he passes it to Bale, and along with it, the keys to the world. First though, we speak to Marla again, who as a reward for freeing Anya, casts a much needed spell on us to increase our resistances and a helpful new item. We then head through Anya's portal, exiting onto an island that will take us through to the Halls of Anguish, down into the Halls of Pain, and finally the Halls of Thought, where we will then find Nithalak. These halls certainly live up to their name, with walls raised and strengthened with bone, crates filled with corpses, and skeletal remains lie the hall's corridors. In the Halls of Thought, we square off with Nithalak. When we first encounter him, he rushes us with a large swarm of demons, a sea of bodies serving as his first line of defense. The skeleton squad cut through them, opening Nithalak up to attack. He takes a good beating, unleashing his powerful streams of ice against the skeleton squad and teleporting away from us to reposition. But, as with all who face Colin, he too falls. However, he is missing the one thing we needed from him: the totem. We return to Anya, who surmises that he must have already given it to Bale, who will now be able to summit the mountain unopposed. As a thank you, Anya offers to magically inscribe our name onto an item of our choosing. As we prepare to leave town and head back to scale the mountainside, we speak to Qual Kek, who advises that though our deeds are becoming legendary, that will matter little as we approach the mountain's summit. The legends say that it is guarded by the Ancient Ones, and only they can judge who is worthy of reaching the mountain's top. At Ariat's summit, we find a shrine to ancient heroes and activate the altar. At the center, we are greeted by the spirits of the Nephilim, ancient guardians chosen to defend the Worldstone. They tell us that in order to prove our worth, we must defeat them in combat. The spirits of the fallen heroes then reanimate the statues around the shrine, and the fight begins. Perhaps knowing our task, the fallen barbarians don't hit particularly strongly. As each hero falls, their spirit coalesces back into statue form, and once all three are defeated, all that remains is Baal. The ancients augment our skill and advise us that not only is Baal already in the chamber of the Worldstone, but he is also blocking Tyrael's spirit from entering the chamber. We are truly alone, and we cannot fail. To succumb to Baal now would allow him access to the Worldstone and a power that could shatter the boundary between the mortal world and hell, and allow the demonic hordes to wash over the world unopposed. It's now or never. Baal must die. We step forth into the Worldstone chamber and fight our way through Baal's forces. On the 4th level, we make it to the Throne of Destruction itself, where Baal awaits us. Clearing the throne room out, Baal sits before the portal to the Worldstone, taunting us with laughter as he summons wave after wave of powerful enemies in an attempt to stop us. Once we've killed enough, he retreats through the portal to the Worldstone chamber. Following him through, our first attempt starts off well. The skeleton squad hold him off and all seems to be going well, but after a flurry of powerful elemental attacks, our skeletal squad quickly falls, and it's apparent he's going to be stronger than we first thought. This time, we don't want to just butt our heads against a wall until he dies, so we decide to finally take a different approach. As the skeleton squad can deal a good amount of damage, we need to do something about their vulnerability to these elemental attacks, particularly fire. Though our build so far has pretty exclusively focused on building up the squad, we have for now neglected to put any points into Summon Resist, an ability that increases the resistance of all summoned creatures. We get a boost to this and all other necromancer skills with the Summoner's Amulet we have equipped, so the plan is to farm the Worldstone Chamber for a few levels until we hit 40, put a couple of points into Summon Resist and give Baal another shot and then reassess. As we clear the Worldstone Keep up to and including Baal until he goes through the portal to the Worldstone Chamber, we'll be keeping an eye out for any gems, runes and grey or white items that we can potentially use to craft an item or two along the way, but we won't specifically be going out of our way to hunt these down and craft. The creatures that Baal summons before escaping to the Worldstone Chamber are actually really useful to us for two main reasons. Firstly, this whole area provides a decent amount of XP, so it doesn't take us too long to level up a few times. More importantly though, one of these groups of enemies he summons is the Travancore Council from Act 3. As our skeletons have been particularly vulnerable to fire attacks throughout the game, including theirs, these will be a good benchmark to measure if the Summon Resist is having the desired impact. At level 40, and with enough points in Summon Resist that we no longer see our skeletons melt away at the first sign of fire, we tentatively step through the portal for attempt number 2 at Baal. It's still a tough fight, as Baal unleashes wave after wave of powerful elemental attacks and disrupts our attacks with distracting tentacle minions. Against Colin and the skeletal squad though, it's not enough, as Baal falls to our skill. With Baal defeated, Tyrael is now able to enter the Worldstone Chamber. Congratulating us on our defeat of Baal, he warns us that though Baal is defeated, we were too late to prevent him from corrupting the Worldstone. In time, the corruption will only grow until the barriers between the mortal world and hell break down and destroy everything mankind has built. Seeing no other way to protect the world, Tyrael intends to destroy the Worldstone forever. Though the consequences are unforeseeable, it is the only way to ensure the safety of mankind. We ourselves, though, have earned a welcome rest after shouldering the burden of saving the world. Tyrael creates for us a portal home. The end.
teatre review, nanti akan berfokus pada seburuan. Seburu rebel langkah besar dapat berbagai papua dan orang dan siang berpadu bersyukur akan ditulis.
Act 5, Lord of Destruction, was a pretty strong end to my first experience with Diablo 2. While I was a little thrown off at first by its lack of guidance in the beginning, I actually really appreciated the loose nature of the first half of the narrative to start with. While thematically it felt at odds with the narrative of Act 3, here it instead just fits. We've killed Diablo and we're here to kill Baal. We've done all the preparation we can. It now just comes down to getting to the top of the mountain before he can do too much damage and taking him out. It makes sense. The ascent up Mount Arreat also felt really cool. Gaining the mountainside to a seemingly never-ending army of demons really helped sell the threat Baal and his army posed if left unchecked, and honestly, it was just a blast to work through what felt like a more densely populated and dangerous wilderness. Following up with a second half to the narrative that becomes a bit more guided, but really just kicks up everything to 11, with the stakes being raised and the fight finally taken to Baal, who, as a final boss, was pretty awesome. He was challenging and pushed us to think differently about what we need to do to take him down. Given that he spends some time before the fight taunting us as we close in on him, he actually ends up being the most satisfying boss to take down too. So now that we've finished Diablo 2 for the first time, let's answer the question I've been teasing you with this whole time. Is it GO.A.T? I don't know if I can answer that. Is it my favourite Diablo? At this point, maybe not. I really need to take it to the next level for that, and for now, the modern quality of life and accessible mechanics of newer entries like Diablo 4 is still maybe a little closer to what I want out of the experience. What Diablo 2 is, though, is an incredible game. Despite being 25 years old, it still manages to ignite that excitement within. Diablo 2 knows what it is and delivers a refinement of what came before, crafted with artistry by developers in their prime, and I can see why players have been coming back to its world time and time again for the past 2 decades. It's a great experience, one that I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed. It's a game I'm going to come back to in my own time, level different classes, experiment, work to defeat higher difficulties, and try to enjoy everything the game has to offer. I don't think a game can get better praise than that. I went into Diablo 2 completely blind outside of the basic understanding I had of the franchise from Diablo 4 and 20 years of hype. I played poorly, picked a non-optimal build that didn't fully maximize my combat options, and blundered my way to the end of the campaign, and I loved every second of it. Diablo 2 may not have lived up to every ounce of the hype. It's maybe not the perfect game that many remember or have hyped it up to be over the years. It's definitely rough around the edges, unintuitive at places, with a weak middle, but those slight negatives don't detract from the overall experience. I got stuck in, made mistakes, died a lot in places where more experienced players might look on in abject horror, but I enjoyed myself. I made my own story and tapped into all the things that drove fans to devote so much time to Diablo 2 even 20 years later. The sum is overall greater than its parts. When I come back to Diablo 2 to push through higher difficulties, it will be with a far greater understanding that will push my experience to the next level, and I think I may just end up being one of those fans that comes back time and time again. So thank you to everyone that left comments on the previous video, though by that point I had already completed the campaign. Hearing all your feedback and suggestions on how I should go about taking the game further were a joy to read. That sense of community and shared enthusiasm for a piece of art that is loved, maybe that's the real GO.A.T. But if you've stayed this far into the video, well done. you're at the end. Stay a while and listen. Take this opportunity to like the video and subscribe to not miss out on more first-time game experiences from me. While you're at it, click the bell icon to ensure YouTube has a slightly better chance of actually letting you know when a video is out. Let me know your thoughts on Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 Resurrected in the comments below. If there's anything you think is vital for me to know for my playthrough on higher difficulties, or want to know more about my experience as I continue on through my Diablo journey, let me know as well. I also have a Discord I seldom promote. You'll find a link to it in the description below and on screen now. The Discord is the best place to ensure you never miss a video and get involved with our small community. Keep an eye out there for some news on upcoming future projects.